The Bounds of Reason. Chapter 7.
"We saved but one wagon from the entire caravan, Your Majesty," Gillenstein said, "not counting the Reaver's wagon. 7 bowmen remain from the troop. There's no longer a road on the far side of the chasm, just scree and a smooth wall as far as the breach permits one to look. We know not if anyone survived of those who remained when the bridge collapsed."
Nidomir did not answer. Ike Odenesla, standing erect, stood before the king, staring at him with shining, feverish eyes. "The ire of the gods is hounding us," he said, raising his arms. "We have sinned, King Nidomir. It was a sacred expedition, an expedition against evil. For the dragon is evil. Yes, each dragon is evil incarnate. I do not pass by evil indifferently. I crush it beneath my foot, annihilate it, just as the gods and the Holy Book demand."
"What is he drivelling on about?" Behold asked, frowning.
"I don't know," Geralt said, adjusting his mare's harness. "I didn't understand a single word."
"Be quiet," Dandelion said. "I'm trying to remember it. Perhaps I'll be able to use it if I can get it to rhyme."
"The Holy Book says," Ike said, now yelling loudly, "that the serpent, the foul dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, will come forth from the abyss, and on his back will sit a woman in purple and scarlet, and a golden goblet will be in her hand, and on her forehead will be written the sign of all and ultimate whoredom."
"I know her," Dandelion said, delighted. "It's Cilia, the wife of the alderman of Somholder." "Quieten down, poet, sir," Gillenstein said. "And you, O knight from Denesley, speak more plainly, if you would."
"One should act against evil, O king," Ike called, "and with a pure heart and conscience, with head raised. But who do we see here? Dwarves who are pagans, are born in the darkness and bow down before dark forces. Blasphemous sorcerers, usurping divine laws, powers, and privileges. A witcher, who is an odious aberration, an accursed unnatural creature. Are you surprised that a punishment has befallen us, King Nidomir? We have reached the limits of possibility. Divine grace is being sorely tested. I call you, king, to purge the filth from our ranks before—"
"Not a word about me," Dandelion interjected woefully. "Not a mention of poets, and I try so hard."
Geralt smiled at Yarpen Zigrin, who, with slow movements, was stroking the blade of his battle-axe, which was stuck into his belt. The dwarf, amused, grinned. Yennefer turned away ostentatiously, pretending that her skirt, torn up to her hip, distressed her more than Ike's words.
"I think you are exaggerating a little, Sir Ike," Dorigaray said sharply, "although no doubt for noble reasons. I regard the making known of your views about sorcerers, dwarves, and witches as quite unnecessary. Although I think we have all become accustomed to such opinions, it is neither polite nor chivalrous, Sir Ike. And it is utterly incomprehensible after you and no one else ran and used a magical elven rope to save a witcher and a sorceress whose lives were in danger. I conclude from what you say that you should rather have been praying for them to fall."
"Damn it," Geralt whispered to Dandelion. "Did he throw us that rope? Ike, not Dorigaray?"
"No," the bard muttered. "Ike it was, indeed."
Geralt shook his head in disbelief. Yennefer cursed under her breath and straightened up. "Sir Ike," she said with a smile that anyone other than Geralt might have mistaken as pleasant and friendly, "why was that? I'm blasphemous, but you saved my life." "You are a lady, Madam Yennefer." The knight bowed stiffly. "And your comely and honest face permits me to believe that you will one day renounce this accursed sorcery." Boholt snorted. "I thank you, Sir Knight," Yennefer said dryly, "and the Witcher Geralt also thanks you." "Thank him, Geralt?"
"I'd rather drop dead," the Witcher sighed, disarmingly frank. "What exactly should I thank him for? I'm an odious aberration, and my uncomely face does not augur any hope for an improvement. Sir Ike hauled me out of the chasm by accident, simply because I was tightly clutching the comely damsel. Had I been hanging there alone, Ike would not have lifted a finger. I'm not mistaken, am I, Sir Knight?"
"You are mistaken, Geralt, sir," the knight-errant replied calmly. "I never refuse anybody in need of help, even a witcher."
"Thank him, Geralt, and apologize," the sorceress said sharply. Otherwise, you will be confirming that, at least with regard to you, Ike was quite right. You are unable to coexist with people because you are different. Your participation in this expedition is a mistake. A nonsensical purpose brought you here. Thus it would be sensible to leave the party. I think you understand that now, and if not, it's time you did.
What purpose are you talking about, madam?
Gillenstiern cut in. The sorceress looked at him but did not answer. Dandelion and Sigrin smiled meaningfully at each other, but so that the sorceress would not notice. The Witcher looked into Yennefer's eyes. They were cold. I apologize and thank you, O Knight of Denaisley. He bowed. I thank everybody here present for the swift rescue offered at once. I heard, as I hung there, how you were all raring to help. I ask everybody here present for forgiveness, with the exception of the noble Yennefer, whom I thank but ask for nothing. Farewell. The dregs leave the company of their own free will, because these dregs have had enough of you. Goodbye, Dandelion.
Hey, Geralt, Geralt called. Don't pout like a maiden. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. To hell with... Look out, everyone!
Sheepbagger and several members of the Bearfield Constabulary, who had been sent ahead to reconnoitre, were running back from the narrow opening to the gorge. What is he? Why is he bellowing like that? Gar lifted his head up. Good people, your excellencies, the cobbler panted.
Get it out, man,
Gillenstiern said, hooking his thumbs into his golden belt.
A dragon! There's a dragon there!
Where?
Beyond the gorge, on level ground. Sire, he...
To horse!
Gillenstiern ordered.
Gar, Boholt yelled, onto the wagon. Beanpole, get mounted and follow me. Look lively, lads, Sigrin roared. Look lively, by thunder.
Hey, wait for me.
Dandelion slung his lute over his shoulder.
Geralt, take me with you.
Jump on.
The gorge ended in a mound of light-coloured rocks, which gradually thinned out, creating an irregular ring. Beyond them, the ground descended gently into a grassy, undulating mountain pasture, enclosed on all sides by limestone walls, gaping with thousands of openings. 3 narrow canyons, the mouths of dried-up streams, opened out onto the pasture. Boholt, the first to gallop to the barrier of rocks, suddenly reined in his horse and stood up in his stirrups.
Oh, hell, he said. Oh, bloody hell. It can't be.
What? Dorigare asked, riding up. Beside him, Yennefer, dismounting from the reaver's wagon, pressed her chest against the rocky block, peeped out, moved back and rubbed her eyes. What? What is it? Dandelion shouted, leaning out from behind Geralt's back. What is it, Boholt?
That dragon is golden.
No further than 100 paces from the gorge's rocky entrance from which they had emerged on the road to the northward leading canyon, on a gently curving low hill, sat the creature. It was sitting, arching its long, slender neck in a smooth curve, inclining its narrow head onto its domed chest, wrapping its tail around its extended front feet. There was something inexpressibly graceful in the creature and the way it was sitting, something feline, something that contradicted its clearly reptilian origins. But it was also undeniably reptilian, for the creature was covered in distinctly outlined scales which shone with a glaring blaze of bright yellow gold. For the creature sitting on the hillock was golden, golden from the tips of its talons dug into the ground to the end of its long tail, which was moving very gently among the thistles growing on the hill. Looking at them with its large golden eyes, the creature unfurled its broad, golden, bat-like wings and remained motionless, demanding to be admired.
A golden dragon, Dorigare whispered. It's impossible. A living fable.
There's no such thing as a bloody golden dragon, Gar pronounced and spat. I know what I'm talking about. Then what's sitting on that hillock? Dandelion asked pointedly. It's some kind of trickery. An illusion. It is not an illusion, Yennefer said.
It's a golden dragon,
Gillenstiern said.
An absolutely genuine golden dragon. Golden dragons only exist in fables. Stop that, all of you, Boholt suddenly broke in. There's no point getting worked up. Any blockhead can see it's a golden dragon. And what difference does it make, my lords, if it's golden, lapis lazuli, shit-coloured or checkered? It's not that big. We'll sort it out in no time. Beanpole, Gar, clear the debris off the wagon and get the gear out. What's the difference if it's golden or not?
There is a difference, Boholt, Beanpole said, and a vital one. That isn't the dragon we are stalking. Not the one that was poisoned outside Bearfield, which is now sitting in its cave on a pile of ore and jewels. That one's just sitting on its arse. What bloody use is it to us?
That dragon is golden, Kenneth, Yarp and Zigrin snarled. Have you ever seen anything like it? Don't you understand? We'll get more for its hide than we would for a normal treasure hoard.
And without flooding the market with precious stones, Yennefer added, smiling unpleasantly. Yarpen's right. The agreement is still binding. Quite something to divide up, isn't it?
Aye, Boholt,
Gar shouted from the wagon, where he was clattering amongst the tackle.
What shall we equip ourselves and the horses with? What could that golden reptile belch, eh? Fire? Acid? Steam? I haven't got an effing clue, Boholt said, sounding worried. Hey, sorcerers, anything in the fables about golden dragons, about how to kill them? How do you kill them? The usual way, Sheepbagger suddenly shouted. No point pondering. Give us an animal, we'll stuff it full of something poisonous, and feed it to the reptile and good riddance.
Dorigaray looked askance at the cobbler. Boholt spat, and Dandelion turned his head away with a grimace of disgust. Yarpin Zigrin smiled repulsively, hands on hips.
What are you looking at? Sheepbagger asked. Let's get to work. We have to decide what to stuff the carcass with so the reptile quickly perishes. It has to be something which is extremely toxic, poisonous, or rotten. Aha!
The dwarf spoke, still smiling.
Well, what's poisonous, foul, and stinks? Do you know what, Sheepbagger? Looks like it's you. What? You bloody heard? You lost bodger out of my sight. Lord Dorigaray, Boholt said, walking over to the sorcerer. Make yourself useful. Call to mind some fables and tales. What do you know about golden dragons?
The sorcerer smiled, straightening up self-importantly.
What do I know about golden dragons, you ask? Not much, but enough. We're listening. Then listen, and listen attentively. Over there before us sits a golden dragon, a living legend, possibly the last and only creature of its kind to have survived your murderous frenzy. One doesn't kill legends. I, Dorigaray, will not allow you to touch that dragon. Is that understood? You can get packed, fasten your saddlebags, and go home.
Geralt was convinced an uproar would ensue. He was mistaken.
Noble sorcerer, sir,
Gillenstier's voice interrupted the silence.
Heed what and whom you speak. King Nidemir may order you, Dorigaray, to fasten your saddlebags and go to hell, but not the other way round. Is that clear?
No, the sorcerer said proudly. It is not, for I am Master Dorigaray, and will not be ordered around by someone whose kingdom encompasses an area visible from the height of the palisade on a mangy, filthy, stinking stronghold. Do you know, Lord Gillenstiern, that were I to speak a charm and wave my hand, you would change into a cowpat, and your underage king into something ineffably worse? Is that clear? Gillenstiern did not manage to answer, for Boholt walked up to Dorigaray, caught him by the shoulder, and pulled him around to face him. Gar and Beanpole, silent and grim, appeared from behind Boholt.
Just listen, magician, sir, the enormous Rivia said. Before you wave that hand, listen to me. I could spend a long time explaining what I would do with your prohibitions, your fables, and your foolish chatter, but I have no wish to. Let this suffice as my answer.
Boholt placed a finger against his nose, and from a short distance ejected the contents onto the toes of the sorcerer's boots. Dorigaray blanched, but did not move. He saw, as everyone did, the Morning Star mace on a cubit-long shaft hanging low at Gar's side. He knew, as everyone did, that the time he needed to cast a spell was incomparably longer than the time Gar needed to smash his head to pieces.
Very well, Boholt said. And now, move nicely out of the way, your lordship, and should the desire to open your gob occur to you, quickly shove a bunch of grass into it, because if I hear you whining again, I'll give you something to remember me by.
Boholt turned away and rubbed his hands.
Right, Gar, Beanpole, let's get to work, because that reptile won't hang around forever.
Doesn't seem to be planning on going anywhere, Dandelion said, looking at the foreground. Look at it. The golden dragon on the hill yawned, lifted its head, waved its wings, and lashed the ground with its tail.
King Nidamir and you knights, it yelled with a roar like a brass trumpet. I am the dragon Vilentretenmerth. As I see the landslide which I, though I say it as shouldn't, sent down on your heads did not completely stop you. You have come this far. As you know, there are only 3 ways out of this valley, east towards Bearfield and west towards Cairngorm, and you may use those roads. You will not take the northern gorge, gentlemen, because I, Vilentretenmerth, forbid you. However, if anyone does not wish to respect my injunction, I challenge him to fight an honorable knightly duel, with conventional weapons, without spells, without breathing fire. A fight to the utter capitulation of one of the sides. I await an answer through your herald, as custom dictates.
Everyone stood with their mouths open wide.
It can talk, Boholt panted. Remarkable! Not only that, but very intelligently, Yapin Zegrin said. Anyone know what a confessional weapon is?
An ordinary non-magical one, Yennefer said, frowning. But something else puzzles me. With a forked tongue, it's not capable of articulated speech. The rogue is using telepathy. Be careful. It works in both directions. It can read your thoughts. Has it gone completely balmy or what? Kenneth Beanpole said, annoyed. An honourable duel? With a stupid reptile? Not a chance. We'll attack it together. There's strength in numbers.
No.
They looked around. Ike of Denesla, already mounted in full armour, with his lance set by his stirrup, looked much better than he had on foot. His feverish eyes blazed from beneath his raised visor, and his face was pale.
No, Kenneth, sir, the knight repeated, unless it is over my dead body. I will not permit knightly honour to be insulted in my presence. Whomsoever dares to violate the principles of this honourable duel.
Ike was talking louder and louder. His exalted voice was cracking, and he was trembling with excitement.
Whomsoever affronts honour also affronts me, and his or my blood will be shed on this tired earth. The beast calls for a duel? Very well. Let the herald trumpet my name. May divine judgment decide. On the dragon's side is the power of fang and talon and infernal fury, and on my side... What a moron, Yapin Zegrin muttered. On my side, righteousness, faith, the tears of virgins, whom this reptile... That's enough, Ike. You make me want to puke, Boholt yelled. Go on to the lists. Don't talk. Said about that dragon.
Here, Boholt, wait. One of the dwarves, tugging on his beard, suddenly said, Forgotten about the agreement? If Ike lays low the serpent, he'll take half.
Ike won't take anything, Boholt grinned. I know him. He'll be happy if Dandelion writes a song about him.
Silence, Gillenstein declared. Let it be. Against the dragon will ride out the virtuous knight-errant Ike of Denesla, fighting in the colours of Cairngorm as the lance and sword of King Nidamir. That is the kingly will.
There you have it, Yapin Zegrin gnashed his teeth. The lance and sword of Nidamir. The Cairngorm kinglet has fixed us. What now? Nothing, Boholt spat. I reckon you don't want to cross Ike, Yapin. He talks nonsense, but if he's already mounted his horse and roused himself, better get out of his way.
Let him go, damn it, and sort the dragon out, and then we'll see.
Who shall be the herald? Dandelion asked. The dragon wanted a herald. Maybe me?
No, we don't need a song, Dandelion. Boholt frowned. Yarpen Zigrin can be the herald. He's got a voice like a bull. Very well, no bother, Yarpen said. Bring me a flag bearer with a banner, so that everything is as it should be. Just talk politely, dwarf, sir, and courteously, Gillenstiern cautioned. Don't learn me how to talk.
The dwarf proudly stuck out his belly.
I was sent on diplomatic missions when you lot were still knee-high to a grasshopper.
The dragon continued to sit patiently on the hillock, waving its tail cheerfully. The dwarf clambered up onto the largest boulder, hawked and spat.
Hey, you there,
he yelled, putting his hands on his hips.
You fucking dragon, you. Listen to what the herald has to say. That means me. The first one to take on honourably will be the meandering knight, Ike of Denesle, and he will stick his lance in your paunch according to the holy custom, to your confusion and to the joy of poor virgins and King Nidemir. It will be a fair fight and honourable. Breathing fire is not allowed, and you may only lambast the other confessionally until the other gives up the ghost or expires, which we sincerely wish on you. Understood, dragon?
The dragon yawned, flapped its wings, and then, flattening itself to the ground, quickly descended from the hillock to level ground.
I have understood, noble herald, it yelled back. Then may the virtuous Ike of Denesla enter the fray. I am ready. What a pantomime, Boholt spat, following Ike with a grim expression as he walked his horse over the barrier of boulders. A ruddy barrel of laughs.
Shut your yap, Boholt, Dandelion shouted, rubbing his hands. Look, Ike is preparing to charge. It'd be a bloody beautiful ballad.
Hurrah! Long live Ike!
Someone shouted from Nidemir's troop of bowmen.
And I, Sheepbagger said gloomily, would still have stuffed him full of brimstone just to be certain.
Ike, already in the field, saluted the dragon with his upraised lance, slammed down his visor, and struck his horse with his spurs.
Well, well, the dwarf said. He may be stupid, but he knows how to charge. Look at him go.
Ike leant forward, braced in the saddle, lowered his lance at full gallop. The dragon, contrary to Geralt's expectations, did not leap aside, did not move in a semicircle, but flattened to the ground, rushed straight at the attacking knight.
Hit him! Hit him, Ike!
Yarpen yelled. Ike, although in full gallop, did not strike headlong, straight ahead. At the last moment, he nimbly changed direction, shifting the lance over his horse's head. Flashing past the dragon, he thrust with all his might, standing up in the stirrups. Everybody shouted in unison. Geralt did not join in with the choir. The dragon evaded the blow with a delicate, agile, graceful turn, and, coiling like a living golden ribbon, as quick as lightning, but softly, cat-like, reached a foot beneath the horse's belly. The horse squealed, jerking its crup high up, and the knight rocked in the saddle, but did not release his lance. Just as the horse was about to hit the ground snout first, the dragon swept Ike from the saddle with a fierce swipe of his clawed foot. Everybody saw his breastplate spinning upwards, and everybody heard the clanking and thudding with which the knight fell onto the ground. The dragon, sitting on its haunches, pinned the horse with a foot and lowered its toothy jaws. The horse squealed shrilly, struggled, and then was quiet. In the silence that fell, everybody heard the deep voice of the dragon, Vielentretenmeth.
The doughty Ike of Denesle may now be taken from the battlefield, for he is incapable of fighting any longer. Next, please.
Oh, fuck, Yarpen Zigrin said, in the silence that followed.